A beginner would come through and look at this and start changing them out. Dirty way to do it, but it gets the job done. Here's the situation we're running into today. We have a client whose Monday account needed to be migrated to a different Monday workspace. And we have about 40 different scenarios for them that work through their boards in different groups. Each of their scenarios probably has 10 to 40 different Monday modules that we use. And keep in mind, none of these routes are dependent on each other, which is why we built it this way, as opposed to using sub scenarios. And we need to change out the connections on all these. We have Monday V2, we need to change it out to this daily automations temp one. I'm just using this for the video. And we needed to be able to do it in bulk across 40 different scenarios, each with 10 to 20 modules, let's say. It's 400 modules we need to change out. A beginner would come through and look at this and start changing them out. Dirty way to do it, but it gets the job done. An expert will know that there is a make API endpoint to be able to update this information. To do this, you have to be a little bit familiar with the JSON blueprints. First thing you need to do is create your API key to be able to access the make API. To do that, you go to your profile, API access, add token. I'm going to enable all scopes for right now. Depending on how you use it, you may or may not want to do that. You're going to be able to see this token once. Make sure you copy it out of there, and then you'll go to your scenario where you need the connections, and you will put in the server domain where you are accessing. You do need different connections depending on what server you're trying to access or what environment. This scenario is doing is we're getting a list of the scenarios. We're getting the JSON blueprint as a JSON string. What that's going to allow us to do is put it in the next module and use a replace function where we can replace the connection ID. We're looking for 536.179 and replacing it with 314.789. And then we're passing that back to another endpoint that is going to patch the scenario blueprint. We're getting it as a string. We are transforming it to a JSON while replacing those connection IDs, and then we're patching it back to the scenario using the make API. Now, to get those connection IDs, we have this make an API call here, and we're just accessing the get connections, and you can sort through it and find your connection. That's where that 314.179 came from. Let's run it and test. We're only going to run it on one scenario. If we run it, we see that it was successful. Now, if we refresh this, if I open up the connections, I do see that this one has been changed, this one has been changed, and they've all been changed out to that new connection. So that's an easy way to change out connections at scale across multiple scenarios. If you're running an AI automation agency where you need to do maintenance like this, where you're duplicating scenarios and changing out connections, a good example is I want to deploy this template into a client scenario and attach it to their Google Sheets connection, to their Go High Level connection, to their Monday board, whatever it might be. If you're deploying templates, this is a great way to do it at scale. And there is an endpoint to be able to clone a scenario into a client's account. I think it's a little bugged right now because I couldn't get it to actually change the connections, but that could have been another issue I was having. If you want more tips on how to utilize Make and AI in your daily automations, feel free to follow.